What's going on, guys? I'm Joe Farewell with Tactical Hyve, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the common mistakes on a pistol spinner and how to attack it effectively. Now, if you've ever shot 3-gun or you want to get into that sport, you've probably seen one of these targets, and I can tell you that if you're not good at it, it's going to really put a damper on your scores overall. These targets can be a huge game changer because you can either turn it pretty quickly or you're going to take a huge penalty, or you're gonna sit there and burn through a bunch of mags trying to get it over. So here are some quick strategies on how to attack a spinner target effectively to get it spun as soon as possible. So the whole goal of a spinner target is to get it to rotate all the way over. So if you're trying to turn this thing around and it stops right here and falls back forward, that is not a full rotation, which means you gotta drive it over. But what's the best way to do that? Well, we have to use the momentum of the spinner itself. We gotta create momentum first, and then we have to use this momentum to help us. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is they will actually start it and then they will shoot it again as it's on its way back. And it just stops all the momentum you just created and you're back at square one. So let's go ahead and look at each step of the process and how we're gonna do this most effectively to make sure you get it over in the least number of shots possible. So one common mistake I see is just in the initial engagement and how we align ourselves to this target. If we get offset from one side or the other, what's gonna happen is your impact of the rounds are gonna be deflected at an angle, which is not gonna give the most energy transfer to the target. That is the goal with this target, is to make sure we're getting it spun as efficiently as possible, which means we wanna have a flat surface that a round is impacting so that there's no question that all of the energy from that bullet is transferred into the target. The second part of this is to make sure that we get the timing of that impact proper based off of the rotation of the target. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come into a position where I can see the angle of the legs and I don't see an offset to them. I wanna see just one set of legs, because if I get offset, I can see two sets, and that means I'm not squared up to the target. The second thing I wanna do is make sure I'm in a good shooting position. I don't wanna cheat my grip or sacrifice any of the fundamentals of shooting. I wanna make sure that I'm getting accurate hits on target, and I wanna time them effectively. So let's go ahead and walk through this process. The first one I wanna do is I'm gonna put 2 rounds on the top plate. From there, I'm gonna transition down to the bottom plate as it starts to back away from me and try to put 2 or 3 rounds. No more than that. One thing I see a lot of people doing is they will just sit there and put a whole bunch of rounds at it, but they start missing. And they think that firing more and having accuracy by volume is gonna help, but a lot of times it's a huge hindrance because they'll run dry, and now they're having to do a standing reload while the spinner stops moving entirely and they're back at square one. So let's go ahead and walk through this process. So like I said, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 rounds on the top plate, transition down and put 3 rounds on the bottom plate, and then just work on keeping the timing as the plate is moving away from me. That's when I wanna get shots on it. Stand by. So as you can see there, the last position where it started to get all the way up to the top, but then wanted to come back forward, I went ahead and drove it over. And if you're gonna do that, you wanna make sure that you're getting accurate shots and you're not waiting too long, because if it starts to fall back, sometimes it'll just sit there and you can drive it and it's gonna sit at that bad angle. So driving it over is a good technique to finish that target, but make sure that it's actually at the apex and you're able to drive it over. Don't rush those shots, and make sure that you're getting accurate shots on the plate itself. Now I'm gonna show you a couple of the common mistakes, starting off with improper timing of shots. So check this out. So we're gonna get the plate started, and I'm gonna show you what happens when you put one mistimed shot on this thing. And as you can see there, the whole thing comes to a screeching halt, and I'm starting back where I left off half a mag ago. And obviously that's gonna not only take up time, but then I'm gonna be running out of ammo quickly. It's gonna cause me to do a reload. So it's way more important to make sure that you get the timing down, get your shot placement down, versus just trying to spin it as fast as possible. So I already mentioned shot placement, and as you can see here, I've got one hit that's down here on the arm. And I will tell you, that is not effective whatsoever. What happens is when you hit this low, we don't have a whole lot of leverage on the actual target. So we want to get these hits all the way up here, ideally at least in the middle of the plate. Even if you can get farther out on the edge, that's even better. The other thing is probably the most important tip that I can give you is as you push this away, you aim down here and you want to get these shots on as it's going away from you. Now, what happens a lot of times is as it starts to rotate, you can't see any target at this point. So what you have to do is you have to put your sights where the target is going to be on its way away from you. So if I know it's pushing backwards and I can't see the bottom plate anymore, I'm gonna aim right here. I'm gonna put my dot right here where the target is going to be. So as it drops into view, I could start taking shots at this point and I push that with the maximum effect. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's a couple of quick tips on how to attack the spinner a little bit more effectively, so the next time you see one in a match, you're able to crush it. Stay tuned for the next video coming out here at Tactical Hyve, and I'll see you on the range.